What up? What up? What up? How you been? Man, this has been a pretty productive week for me, and I don't want to say it in a good or highlight in a positive way because I'm without my family, but they're down with grandma, and I'm here dolo. So I got some time to kind of work through some things that I needed to, working on a brand and kind of shaping things up and putting out some merch. So other than that, man, just really just work and just keeping my ear to the streets, man. What about you?
Yo, man. For same thing here, man. Even Jesus got time away from his family, so
Word.
I definitely can appreciate it. So people saying they can't hear me, can you hear me now? My mic was on mute. Um, you should be able to hear me now. So I'm sorry about that, but yeah, man. It's good to have time alone, time to yourself, and be able to
Word.
accomplish some work. So we got a lot of stuff we got to get into, man.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. Last week was lit. We talked about Juneteenth. No, we talked about snow on the bluff, and you know,
Right.
uh, how do we feel about our favorite artists, and should they be social activists, or should they just be artists and using their platform? So that was a good and healthy conversation, man.
Yeah, I think I landed on the side of, if you have something intelligent, worthwhile to say, speak. But but if you don't have the right words to say, then use your platform to put somebody else on, right?
Facts,
I mean,
facts.
you got the ears of the masses, so you don't necessarily have to be the one with the message, right? But I think the platform that you have, as long as you lend it to the cause, I think that that's beneficial
Yeah,
long
man,
term.
absolutely, man. I'm of the opinion that once you have a platform and once you have a voice and a microphone, and you have people that follow you, you have to be responsible with it. And also too, man, uh, you can't be mad at the backlash that people give you because you're a public figure. And
Right.
with this era of social media and everything is public, what you gonna do. So but I
Yeah.
do think that the girl that came at No Name, that came at J Cole, I think it was a bit premature and not responsible in her part on how she used her platform to attack somebody who is already out there. Jay Z, nobody wins when the family feuds.
Yeah, I think we have to be careful because while I think that what she was trying to convey was coming from a good place, but I think that the manner in which she went by it just kind of really distorted the message, and it really caused more distortion than clarity.
Yeah,
I was watching. There's a video from one of my favorite guys on Instagram, Plies. If you're familiar with the rapper
yeah,
Plies,
Plies, yeah.
uh, he's hilarious. But he put out a video this week where he was kind of giving some advice to athletes. A lot of these athletes, these collegiate athletes, are now trying to make use their platform to kind of speak up. And he said that these athletes need to decide, like, if you're going to speak up, you got to be willing to go all the way with it,
Hmm.
because if you speak out, they give you something to pacify you, or they say, okay, well, we'll sit down with you and we'll have a discussion, but they don't give you a clear list of items that they're willing to address, the things that they're going to do based on whatever your complaint is. He said, if you're not willing to go all the way, which means that you could potentially lose your spot on the team, you could potentially be, he's like, you got to decide. You can't go half-ass with it. You got to go all the way with it, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with anybody. If you're getting ready to put something on your platform, and I think that was probably the reservation of J. Cole, in that he didn't have the right messaging to put out there. So he probably was a bit leery about just jumping out the window and saying, hey, this is what I think and whatever, and not really being fully informed.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a conversation between, the thought leaders and those with major platforms that could come together and marry to get the word out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I'm on the side of, if you don't know what to say, don't say nothing. And then if you do say something, say you don't know what to say.
Right.
Then come out and say something that's totally reckless and totally off, and then you make matters worse than they
Yeah.
already are. So
Yeah.
man, so yeah, you want to say something?
No, no, no. I'm good. I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, man. So dude, man, a lot of things have happened in the news this week, and You talked about athletes, and so I want to talk about the NFL, man. So the NFL, the beloved game of America, one of the most
Right.
violent sports that there is. The NFL has decided that they want to what's that? Play the national black anthem for the first week of the NFL season. And hold it, before you jump in, let me just say this to all our viewers that are online, that are watching us. Yo, please comment. Please have a conversation while we're having a conversation, but also like, subscribe, and share. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you want to go to YouTube, that's how we're able to do more. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button,
Right.
and please communicate with us. So yeah, man. So McDonald, man, what do you feel about the NFL? Uh, you know, playing the national black anthem during the first week of the season.
All right. So I got a lot to say about that, but I'll try to keep it short. Um, I went to a school, I went to a university where I would probably venture to say that part of the curriculum was to learn all three stanzas of
Yeah,
Lift Every Voice.
yeah,
And I remember seeing online this week that Jamil Hill made a comment about the NFL is going to be, I'm paraphrasing, the NFL will be surprised to know that all black people don't know all three stanzas, right? That we only know the first,
right.
which is hilarious because I think she went this, didn't she go to like Michigan State or something like that? Like a
Yeah,
PWI?
I don't know, but
Well,
but honestly, man, a lot of us don't know the whole song.
word. But the greater point I'm trying to get to is, first of all, this goes back, I think, to a conversation you and I had about the pacification of people, where there are these symbolic actions that happen that we interpret as movement forward, when in fact they're just symbolic. I don't really understand how playing the Black National Anthem at a football game is going to move the cause forward, other than cause more divisiveness. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't, if they play it, cool, whatever, right? But I don't understand how that checks off items on the list of demands that we have. Because I don't recall any black person lobbying for the Black National Anthem to be played at the NFL, at NFL games. Have you?
No, that's why it's so interesting to me.
I don't get that. So again, so it's sort of like these murals, right? These Black Lives Matter murals that are being painted on the streets, or the pictures of George Floyd on these murals in public places, and all these different things. And in my head, I'm like, this feels eerily like more pacification. This is the sedative that we're getting in order to, like, distract us from the greater picture, which is there are action items that we said we wanted to be done. It wasn't no damn national anthem. It wasn't no murals. It was some real concrete items that we wanted to get done. And so I think black people need to be careful in getting caught up in the sensationalization of these tactics
Yeah.
that are being used to basically, blind us. I just don't see the purpose of it. I don't see what it gains us incrementally. So I think it's really a waste of time.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Jeremiah, man. And he talked about it being a chess move. And I agree with you. I agree that it is a sort of a chess move to try to pacify us and to say, oh, the NFL is doing something. They are going to play the national black anthem. As deep as the song is and
Right.
meaningful to us, it is just a song to them. So here's my thing. Number two, it's not going to change policy. It's not going to do what NFL players and what Kaepernick was kneeling about. Kaepernick was not
Right.
kneeling for you to play the
To get
black anthem, right?
word.
The other thing is that, bro, you about to make it worse than it already is. Like, you about to incite, as I was saying before, it's like, I think NFL people that go to NFL games are similar to the crowds that go to NASCAR races. And you play the black anthem, it's gonna be pandemonium because they gonna sit, they gonna boo, they gonna disrespect it. You might even see, is what Jeremiah said earlier. You might even see the reverse, where there may be white athletes who kneel during the anthem.
Look, if the goal is cohesiveness and to bring people together to have a conversation, I think that's a non-starter.
Yeah.
Personally, I could be wrong, and this thing can play out and could be have the complete opposite effect of what I'm thinking. I want incremental wins. I want small victories. I want to see change, right? I don't understand how singing a song does that. So I don't want to waste a lot of time on it, but in my head, I don't really understand what's the gain from it. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. But I'm what I'm tripping about is there going to be an NFL season? Like, bro, like COVID-19 is still here. COVID-19 is still going on, and so that's the
Right.
things that I'm worried about. So dude, man. So we talked about the NFL. BET Awards was this weekend, man, and so all the streets are saying that the this was the most lit, most BLM BET Awards that there has ever been since it's been in its showing. And man, what do you think about that?
All right, so I'll be honest. I didn't watch it. Right, I heard about it. I heard about the hoopla and that it was a really you know Black Lives Matter focus, really conscious focus BET Awards that has ever been, well, in a long time, that's ever been broadcasted. So for that, I say I think that's great. Um, Now, from my perspective at least, for as long as I've seen the BET Awards, they've always tried to, with all the ratchetness that you may see, all the jiving and shucking and the songs that are played or whatever. I mean, I always felt like they always tried to put segments in there that kind of highlighted, the movement. Not may have not been the most prevalent piece of the broadcast, but I always felt like BET did that. Now, granted, when you topple that with like 90% ratchetness and 10% wokeness, I mean, it gets lost in the shuffle. But if in fact everything you say is true about the awards this year, then I think that's pretty dope. I probably need to go back and watch it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Shout out to BET for making it Black Lives Matter central. Like that's what you expect from a black entertainment network. When something is happening, you expect them to make alterations and to make what pivot move to
Hmm.
to be conscious to what is happening in society. But you know the truth is that even though this is the popular thing that's happening right now, you kind of want BET to be consistent in that messaging or balanced in the messaging of Black Lives Matter and social injustice and inequality towards
Uh-huh.
black people. So while I'm proud, so here's what I'm saying is that I think them doing that should be the
Hmm.
beginning of the consistency of the programming that we see coming from BET.
So here's my issue. The issue that I have is that I think that black people know what the issues are,
Yeah.
right? Like we're intimately familiar with all the struggles and all the oppression and the police brutality and the racism. We're intimately familiar with that, right? So I feel like yes, BET should be a mouthpiece for those kinds of conversations and broadcasting those positive images and so forth. But I almost feel like they're preaching to the choir. We kind of already know these things.
Hmm.
So the networks that really should be doing this kind of stuff is the MTVs, the VH1s, those that reach white audiences that claim ignorance, that want us to educate them and constantly want us to, feed them with information and blah 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 about our black struggle. I think those are the networks that really should be doing more of it because those are going to be the networks that are shown in the homes where the conversations need to happen. So while I applaud BET because they're all owned by the same, parent company, Viacom, so if Viacom's intention is to spread the message, then I think that they need to replicate what was done on BET and do that on those other networks too. Otherwise, it's falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, yeah, good point. And so, there are people that I'm sure will be on the other side of the fence and will say, okay, does BET dilute the message of social justice when it shows programming of us not at our finest moments? And I would argue against that and say I don't think BET is really a culprit for showing us not at our finest moments. I would argue that VH1 and MTV is probably worse at contributing to that because, matter of fact, VH1 is that one network that houses all of the love and hip hop and all those different shows. And
Hmm.
people as old as I am, that I can date myself, we remember when VH1 didn't want anything to do with black culture. Like that
Right.
was just straight, uh, pop music that it only wanted to deal with.
Yeah, that's why I said, I think if if Viacom, parent company, right, is really interested in shining a light on issues, then you kind of do a disservice when you're showing the love and hip hop ratchetness that. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a great portion of our audience that love those shows, right?
Yeah,
I don't watch it, but I'm sure there are people that love it. But I think that there's also a responsibility. If you're going to show the extreme on one end, you got to show the opposite extreme as well, because everybody ain't living like that. You know what I'm
right.
saying? There are some positive, a lot of positive images of black folks that are out there, and I think that just merely showing one extreme negative side of it isn't really balanced. Just like BET, I won't let BET get off the hook either, because I think, look, when BT used to be playing, BT Uncut late nights and all of that, and I'm sure some folks like that show and all that, but they weren't. But the difference was BT was showing it at an hour where most people ain't watching TV. You had to literally stay up to go find that.
Right, right, right.
Whereas Love and Hip Hop and those kinds of shows are being broadcast in prime time,
Prime
so for
time, yeah.
everyone to see, just the trash surrounding our people. So Viacom has a responsibility. If you really want to impress me, then I say the messaging of Black Lives Matter and all the different things we're trying to get accomplished will be shown on all their platforms, especially the major platforms.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Facts, facts. Like, because what's scary about that is there's a narrative that is attached to, unfortunately, to black people. And when other people from who are not in our community, when they see those images, they begin to think that all of us are like that, or like all
Hmm.
our women are loud, all of our men are, sagging pants and you know dropouts or not being fathers or dodging responsibility. So I agree, man. There is a responsibility to show both sides of the coin and to also be honest. Black men aren't the only ones who are well, black men aren't the only ones who are dodging their responsibility of fatherhood. Like there are other cultures and other races that are doing the same thing. It's just unfortunate that all the statistics are always about us, and we are always in the spotlight, and we always, get the bad end of the stick.
So Jeremiah Loveday says that Viacom doesn't have any loyalty to us, right, or our community, and I would say that's true, right. So with the recent, and we'll probably get to this about the Redskins and all of that. So I've always said this, and you'll hear me say this a lot of times, that if you want to get these major corporations attention, you hit them in their pocket, the economy aspect of it all, right? So if you're tired or you don't want to see the content that Viacom is showing on MTV and VH1 and all the Love and Hip Hops, then you need to target their advertising.
Hmm.
If you really want to see change, then you need to target these companies that are supporting and playing commercials during those segments and target them. And I bet you'll see behavior change. We could talk all we want, we could yell all we want, we can march all we want. Viacom has an audience already on lock, right? So if we really want to affect change and see content that truly represents the broad spectrum of who we are as a people, then you got to hit them where it hurts, and that's in the pockets. And their
Yeah.
pockets is tied to advertisement.
Yeah, and you brought up the NFL, so man, the Redskins. Man, it's just crazy, right? The Redskins are having a
Yo,
conversation about changing their name. The Indians are having a conversation about changing their names. My question to the Redskins and to Cleveland: where have y'all been for the last 15, 20 years when people have been saying the name is offensive? You might as well call the team Cleveland Crackers, right? Or, Red Washington Hunkies. Like, it's like now all of a sudden they want to have this conversation about this offensive name.
well, I don't know that Cleveland is the one that's proactively wanting to have the conversation. I think they're being forced
Right.
because, again, when you have a giant like Nike saying we're no longer going to sponsor, we're no longer going to, associate ourselves with you, and who's the marquee company that owns the name to the stadium?
Oh, no, they don't play in FedEx. I forgot what
Was
the
it
rest is.
FedEx?
Is it? I don't think it's FedEx. You gonna?
Somebody in the comment let us
Yeah.
know. But whoever it is, whoever the namesake that's on that stadium also
Right.
said that they would not renew or they would pull away. And so FedEx. Okay, FedEx. Yeah.
Oh, it is
So
FedEx. Okay.
so the thing is, again, when you want to affect change, you know what I'm saying? It has to go to the dollars, because when you talk about the marquee, the name, when you talk about big sponsors like Nike, telling you that, we need to get you to change this or else we're pulling away. Nike isn't necessarily concerned about the name itself. They're concerned about their economics, in that if they know that if they continue down this path and it's not sustainable, folks are going to start boycotting Nike. Nike has a vested interest in not associating themselves with the Redskins right now. And so I don't know why this conversation is just happening, but I guess you might as well throw everything in the bucket right now and just, if you try to get something changed, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, because Nike's smart though. See, like I see them J's that's behind you. Nike knows if they don't do something, they're gonna lose this community. And you don't want you want black people wearing your product. Like there is a known fact that when black people put their hands on anything, that it just blows up, it skyrockets. And I can go down the list from Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger. Black people put their hands on Jordans, and you see what Jordan. We just know how to style. We just know how to mark. We don't even intentionally market stuff. The way just how we do it. It just happens. So Nike smart. You're not off the hook, Nike. I know what you're doing.
Listen, let me tell you. So my wife and I had a conversation. I won't go in depth about the conversation, but it was about marketing and how these companies have these entire marketing teams of these legions of people that are responsible for, putting out ads and putting out campaigns about certain products, right?
Yeah.
But usually in those rooms, there's no one that looks like you and I.
Right.
And so you have people in these rooms that are creating marketing campaigns that are supposedly targeting people like us, but there's no one that look like us in the room.
Right.
And so that's how come you have the H&M issues where, they step on these landmines and they do these really stupid campaigns. And I don't even want to say stupid, because I want to say it's intentional. No one can tell me that you putting a monkey on a shirt or whatever it was, they did.
Right.
And that's not intentional. So I think that's their intent. But what I'm saying is, you have all these people in a room that don't look like us. We're not a part of the conversation. So we can't even proactively stare them and be like, yo, I don't think that's gonna fly all that well.
Right.
You might not want to go down that route. You know what I'm saying? But they're marketing to people that look like us. So you talked about, us just being natural marketers and just our swag. Everything that we do, people want to replicate. People try to use what we do and infuse it into their products to try to generate revenue, and it works. So I think, if we have so much power inherently in us, just who we are, I just wish that we could harness that in a way that benefits our people.
I'm with you, man. Jay-Z said I made the Yankee hat more popular than a Yankee game, man. So I wish, man, we knew how, and he did, man. I wish that we just had that kind of collective thinking to harness the power that we have. And I think it's happening. Maybe not as quick as we want it to, but to see like the push to support black-owned businesses, the push that I've been seeing for your business with Father Fresh, and to see people actually putting in money into your business, into my business, and supporting Raise Your Voice and buying the merch. So hopefully there's a transition that's happening, and things begin to change. You said something that was interesting to me with who was in the room, and I don't know why I keep going back to it. But I want to know what black person was in the room when they thought about the NFL playing the Black Anthem. Show your face. Like we need to see you.
Yo, I can't imagine anyone with some sense that's black being in that room that would co-sign that idea.
Right.
I just don't see, because you'd have to do like reverse engineering to say, okay, what's the ultimate goal that we're trying to accomplish by doing this?
Yeah.
Who exactly are we trying to market this to?
Yeah.
Because as woke as our people are right now, I don't think no song is gonna get us to be like, all right, we'll fall back, no more protesting and no more boycotting and none of that. Because I tell you what, there's a shift happening, and I've seen this recently. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 different announcements of high school basketball players. I mean, like the top tier basketball players signing on to go to HBCUs as opposed to some of these larger schools. And my thing is, if these, I mean, these are high school kids making these declarations. You have professional athletes that have much more sway in terms of being able to like cause and affect change, that are sitting there silent and dormant and wanting to protect their checks.
Yeah.
And I really believe in the NFL, if they really wanted to make a change, they could coalesce together and really like just say, look, we're not playing until these listed demands happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yo, I'm glad you brought that up. Big shout out to the college, those college athletes who are like, yo, I'm not playing unless you do this. Like, now that's a big, bold step, because even though they're not getting a paycheck, they bring in billions of dollars for these colleges. And you know, man, these white coaches and white boosters and these individuals with the money, man, they know they need that black body to commodify or to make money for their school and to win championships. So shout out to the kids for taking a bold step like that. Like, I forgot his name, but when I read that article, I was like, yo, that's pretty ill that he's like, yo, I'm not playing unless you change this name, unless this statue comes down.
But that's the new wave of athletes that are coming through to professional sports. I don't want to dismiss, the existing professional players, whether it's NBA, NFL, whoever. I don't want to dismiss them, because I do think that there are some people that are conscious, that are making, steps, that are doing steps to eradicate or affect change. But I do think that there's a new awakening in these new athletes that are not beholden. They're not getting paid, so they don't have anything to lose per se. And if the school decides, that they don't want to mess with them, they can go somewhere else and take their talent somewhere else and make one of these HBCUs, the next big Alabama, the next big whoever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that they know this, and I think they really got him out of balls. Excuse my French, but they got him right now. And what are these universities going to do?
Yeah.
You're not going to play your star player?
Right. Yo, Jeremiah said, he commented, he was like, can you imagine if an HBCU wins a championship?
Listen, so there are some moves happening in the HBCU world. So I don't know how familiar the audience is with, the MEAC and the SWAC. And so Florida A&M, for instance, was a part of the MEAC for years. And recently, just about a month ago, probably this month, I think we announced that we're moving to the SWAC. And when we left, our biggest rival in the MEAC followed us to the SWAC.
Wow.
2 of the biggest schools in the MEAC left all at once. And so I think those kind of power moves just show you, like, look, there's some change to be had. And I think that if we keep this, whatever this momentum is that's happening, I think I told you this last week, whatever the change or shift that's happening in the atmosphere, here and now, if it's sustainable and it keeps going, man, I'm just excited about what's to come.
Yeah, man, me too. So, man, I'm from the North, from New York City, and shout out to anybody from New York. We don't know nothing about college. Well, at least me, man. So what you were just talking about, MEAC, SEAC, like, I don't know what that is. Man, I still can't figure out college football, yo. Like, I don't understand. There's so many teams. I don't know what they're playing for. I just only watch like the championship game and then I'm done. But anything for the movement and for justice, I'm with it. And so, yo, man, and shout outs to all the HBCUs, which we're just going to transition our conversation a little bit in the reason why we're here today. And we got this lady, Angela Stanton. Here's a picture of her. She is conservative. She is running for John Lewis's seat in Congress. And I got a clip of her on The Breakfast Club. And we're going to dissect some of the things that she says. So I don't know if the audience is familiar with her, but you'll get just some excerpts. Now, I would recommend going to YouTube and on The Breakfast Club and watch her whole interview. And she's like on Roland Martin and stuff. But here are just some things from it, and then let's jump into it and dissect it.
Policies. He's the first president that's for pro-life. There are nearly 60 million Black babies that have been aborted since Roe v. Wade passed. And if we talk about Black Lives Matter, did we know that Black Lives Matter even in the womb? He also signed the most historic criminal justice reform that I had a part of. And we freed over 7,000 people from prison. 91% of them were Black. He's also permanently funded HBCUs. He also lifted the federal ban that was against faith-based HBCUs. Before COVID hit, we had the lowest Black unemployment. The fact that the man was willing to listen to someone like me and allow me to influence him to not only pass the First Step Act, but make it illegal for women to give birth in chains, I realized that this man is not the man that they're proclaiming him to be. Personally, I'm a conservative because I don't believe in handouts. I believe in hand-ups. When we talk about the Democratic Party, it's a large focus on welfare, right? People only need welfare for a certain amount of time. We don't need to become lifelong welfare recipients. I'm also
So what's your thoughts, man? What's your thoughts?
So, man, off the back, right? Off the back, this is my thought. I think what's interesting about Black people and when they want to start helping the community, I don't know why the politicians, the Black politicians, feel like they have to align themselves with the Republican Party. I feel like you can do all the stuff that you want to do for our community, but you don't have to align yourself with a party. Like, you can align yourself with a nonprofit organization. You can align yourself and be independently funded and to do all the things that you want to say. Now, there's some things that she stated that are not totally factual in regards to what the Trump administration has done for people who are incarcerated and and for other things. And I know we're going to talk about her views on abortion and transgender and stuff like that. So, I just find it interesting how Black Republicans go out of their way, and they don't really defend the Republican Party. They go out of their way to defend Donald Trump. Like, it always comes back to Donald Trump, and they just feel like whenever they come in Black spaces, they have to defend him, rather than saying, yo, truthfully, he has done some reckless stuff. He's a dangerous man. But this is why I'm a Republican, XYZ. So, I mean, those are just my thoughts. I have more as we talk a little bit more about her.
Here's what I'll say. Even a broke clock is right twice a day. Right? So I won't deny that there have been sprinkles of things that have been done under this administration that have positively impacted Black people. That's absolutely true, and I won't deny that. I'm not one of those, if it ain't Democratic related or if it ain't whatever related, then it ain't right. I'm not going to go down that extreme. I think that in order for you to gain allies, you have to call out evil when you see evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, just blanketedly giving this man a pass about some of the atrocities and reckless things that he said that has caused the nation to take steps back into the Stone Ages. There's a reason why there's a plethora of Karens, wilding out on Instagram and wilding out on Facebook and just showing their proverbial asses all over the place. There's a reason why these people are emboldened. Yeah. Right? When you hear the term dog whistle, right, it basically means that it's a coded language or coded speak to communicate to a subset of people in order to get them to react or act in a manner that you co-sign, right? Right. So so for instance, yes, there was a lot of hate and anger and racism and stuff during the Obama administration and long before that, right? But there's been something unique about Trump's rhetoric that's kind of ignited these people, that you see people coming from out of the sticks with like these blatant, outrageous mindsets. And these people have been here all along. And so when a Black politician, or a politician for that matter, comes out and blanketedly gives this man a pass, and just basically says, no, 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 what you're saying is not true. He's not a racist. He's not this and he's not that. It's a non-starter in the conversation because most black folks gonna stop listening from right there. You got to call out the devil when you see him, and you got to say it, and you got to call it out. Otherwise, you can people listen. Even though she may have had some really good ideas and good things to say, it becomes a non-starter. No one's willing to listen to you until you're able to like identify this man for what he is.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. So it's like you can't ignore the elephant in the room. You can't ignore the fact that he, like you said, he incites white supremacists, man. At a rally, there was somebody who said white power in the
Right.
video, and then he posted it. So you bring these kind of people out, and to see black people getting behind that,
Yeah.
it's the, I don't understand this cognitive dissonance that happens. And then she talks about welfare, and what's interesting is like it bothers me when people use the system of welfare, and then after they get off of it, then they talk about they want to dismantle it, or
Right.
remove it. Like, no, you can't use the bus and then park it at your house. You know what I'm saying? You got to let it get other people there. Now, I agree, welfare shouldn't be something that people should be on for the rest of their lives. You want people to be able to get jobs, but you have a systematic structure in America that kind of even pushes you to stay on welfare, because if you get arrested and the application says, have you been convicted of a felony, man, McDonald, chances are that supervisor is throwing that application out. If you're
Word.
applying for an apartment, you've been convicted, they throw that out. If you try
Yeah.
to do anything, you can't get credit, you can't get a bank account. They almost set it up so that you could go right back into jail. And so,
Exactly.
so don't what do they say? Don't bite the hand that feeds you and get
Right.
mad. And the other thing too that I have a problem is this, right? Is people say, like she said in that video, I have an issue with handouts. Okay, I bet you ain't have no issue with the government giving you a stimulus check for $1,200, which
Right.
was a handout, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's always convenient when it works for you, but when it's not for your agenda.
I think somebody said this on one of our shows, and it might have been Javante, and you were talking about reparations and all of that, and talking about black folks aligning themselves religiously with political parties and marrying ourselves to these parties, whether they do stuff for us or not,
Right.
whether they have an agenda that really addresses our needs. We just blanketedly, traditionally, just follow these political parties. And one thing I will applaud her for is not just jumping on a Democratic bandwagon.
Mm.
And the Democratic Party don't have to. I'm hearing that you can't hear me. Can you hear me? What about now? Can you hear me?
Somebody say something. Can you hear McDonald? Can you hear me?
Uh-oh. Check, check.
1 2 1 2.
All right.
Somebody say something. Somebody responded.
Okay, cool.
All right. Okay. Okay.
All right. So look, so my issue has always been that we just kind of just give the vote away. We typically um just fall in line. I think the tradition of what our parents have done and what black people have done traditionally, we just kind of do that. And I think that this is the year. If we're truly saying that we want to affect change and we really want to do some things differently, then I think it may mean that we may just have to take an L this year. Look, our lives won't be any better, any worse than it already is with Trump. I think. Okay, let me take that back. I think it can get worse, but I think that we need to be able to suffer through it to get what we want, right? And I'm not saying that we're doing it because we want to elect Trump again, but at the same time, if you are absolutely against the policies that Joe Biden has enacted, that basically put a whole bunch of folks in jail, then we need to take this L. Yeah. And that may mean that withholding our vote from the Democratic Party, so they start enacting things. If you really want our vote, then you've got to earn it.
Yeah,
we're not just going to blanketly do it. And I think that that's where we need to be.
Yeah, I think black people, and all people, but let's just speak specifically about our community. We need to vote issues and not necessarily people. And right. I think that's how we can take a W. Is kind of be like, yo, I don't agree with your platform. I'm not going to give you my vote. If you want my vote, then you got to switch your platform to say this. And we need to, and I think that has more of an impact on the local level than it has on the national level. And that we shouldn't blindly go behind any politician. But to be honest, if I'm an independent and if I'm going to choose a party, I'm definitely not going to choose the Republican Party because just of in the last 20 years or historically, they have shown who they are. And I think within the last 4 years, they have shown us that they are a weak-minded party that will not stand up to Donald Trump. Like the COVID-19 and what's happened in the southern states, in these red states, is simply because these governors were afraid to just say, yo, Trump, we are not going to open up our city. But they just won't stand up to him. And so I can't rock with the Republican Party for that. I can't rock with you if you can't call out you can't call a spade a spade. And that's how I feel. And there are things that the Democrat Party does that I don't really support. But at the end of the day, right now, with what we're living in, I'm not feeling anything Republican that's coming out of nobody's mouth.
Well, maybe I'm a little bit more extreme than you are. I'm not feeling either one of them on the same level in that. Yeah, at least I would rather know that you're a snake and you're gonna bite me, right? Don't put on no attire to tell me that you got my back and you don't. When in fact for years we've been just pandering and giving our votes to the Democratic Party and nothing has come out of it. I can't say that we've gotten mostly anything from the Democratic Party. The Republican Party damn sure don't care about us, but the people that claim to have not done much in order to impact change in our lives, right? So that's why I'm saying I think we need a new party, first of all. and if we aren't going to start a new party, then we need to definitely use our vote as leverage. We're not just going to blanketly hand it over to you. We got to stop doing that, and that means that an election cycle has to go by where they see the power of the black vote. Secondly, local elections have more impact. And we talked about this the last time. Local elections have so much more ramifications to me personally in my life than national politics do. My life is not going to shift that much due to national politics. Local politics, however, I think has much more of a play, and that's where we need to concentrate our votes. Find someone that has an agenda that locally the way you are, that has an agenda that marries up to what you believe, and put your money and resources behind that person to get that person in office.
Yeah, facts. I agree with all of that. I think, man, going back to aligning to where our interests, our collective interests, and I think maybe that's an issue we need to address. What are the collective issues that we as black people have, and we need to get together and make sure that we're all speaking the same language. I think at times, and black people aren't monolithic, we don't all think the same, but for most of us that are in impoverished communities or in situations, there are a lot of us who share a common reality. And how do we respond to that common reality of injustice that we need to be able to say, hey, this is where the black vote needs to go in this moment? Because right now, everybody is looking for the black vote. Everybody right now that's running for office, particularly, let's just use Joe Biden. He is out there trying to get the black vote. Donald Trump is trying to get the black vote because the black vote will be needed to be able to push you over the top to get that victory lap.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the same way we need like a centralized. Now, I kept seeing this thing going up. Now that I'm in all these like, black business groups, I keep seeing like these black yellow pages where they kind of have a centralized hub for whatever business it is that you're in. Your name can be listed and whatever it is your business is about and contact information and all that. I think we need something similar like that for politicians that are running across the country, so we know who they are, what their agendas are, what they hope to accomplish when they get in office, and ways to hold those people accountable. And the thing is, like when we vote for presidents, they get in for 4 years. They could tell us all the stuff we want to hear, and to get into office, and then once they get there, they just coast.
Yeah.
They don't do anything that was on the list of things that they want to get done.
Yeah.
And so I think that Donald Trump is desperate because he wants re-election.
Yeah.
Biden is desperate because he wants to get in, period.
Yeah.
So if they really want it, then they're going to have to roll out, agendas that really marries up to what it is that we're trying to get accomplished. And right now, I don't see either one of those. I think I hear a lot of lip service. They'll say pretty much anything to get elected. And right now, that's not impressing me. So
Yeah, man. I'm with you too. So I know we almost at the end of our time, but I didn't want to go without mentioning another reason why she's a conservative, and she talked about abortion. And
right.
It's always interesting how the abortion conversation comes up in Black Lives Matter, which I think is a dog whistle to distract people from what the issue is. Black Lives Matter is not an issue about abortion. It is an issue about police brutality and the criminal justice system. Doesn't have one to do with the other. But, when they always bring that conversation into this, they don't bring it into context. Like, I don't know. I don't have a woman's body. But I believe that I don't think a woman wants to abort a baby simply because she wants to. I think there are other issues that contribute to that. And the other thing that they don't take into consideration when they talk about abortion is prenatal care and infant mortality. Like, African American women are losing babies, or African American women who are having babies are losing babies because of lack of prenatal care, which is a light on systematic injustice and our health infrastructure. So, that conversation about abortion is like dog whistle Republican jargon to distract us from what actually needs to be addressed.
I typically am very sensitive about, imparting my thoughts on whether abortion is right or wrong or whatever. I typically just simply say, as a man, I should not be having a conversation about what a woman does with her body, period. My thing is like these guys, again, who's in a room? Who's in the room having this conversation? You have a table full of white men.
It's the same dude in the NFL room, same black.
Right. Yeah, that's talking about let's throw the Negro national anthem up there, right? You have a room full of white men that's having discussions about a woman's body.
Yeah.
Which is asinine in itself. So when people try to throw that out in their agenda and say, pro-life and pro this and pro that, I don't think that most people that try to go and get abortions are necessarily doing it because that was their first choice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if it was their first choice, who are you to tell them what to do with their body?
Right. That's right. And there's other thing too, right? So if you pro-life, then be pro-life all through it. Don't be pro-life and you support. And don't be you about babies not dying, but you killing adults in prison.
Listen, you can't be pro-life and then you support police brutality,
right?
And unwilling to have a radical change in policing. You can't be pro-life and then you got these prisons are basically like death camps.
Exactly. So yeah, man. So that conversation always bothers me when they bring up abortion and Black Lives Matter. The one doesn't have to do with the other, but one does highlight the simple fact that there is weak infrastructure in Black communities. There are plethora of reasons of why a woman would abort a baby, and nobody's saying it's wrong or right. But man, I would love to see somebody justify. Imagine this, man. There have been instances where a father has raped their daughter and impregnated her, and you want her to have that baby as a reminder of what was done to me. I mean, man, like, put yourself in those shoes. So I'm not here trying to justify it or to negate it. I'm just saying one don't have to do with the other, and leave the conversation alone.
Look, at the end of the day, um, whatever the rationale is people have for determining whether or not you are pro-life or not, I think that's personal. But at the end of the day, it's different when it hits close to home. If your daughter is raped, or your wife is raped, or your sister's raped, or something like that, your tone will be a little different. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that that's the only cause or reason for abortions. What I'm saying ultimately is there's not a room full of women sitting around telling men what to do with their bodies. So why should there be a room full of men telling women what they should do with their bodies? So the hypocrisy in it all is just laughable. So it is what it is. You know, her you know, she's free to have the platform and do what she does. But I think that, you know, come November, she's gonna have a wake up call.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, man, I think what I do appreciate about her though is her story. We know that she was given a pardon by Donald Trump, and the fact that, you know, she was able to have a child, I think, in prison, and come out of prison, and she's established herself. She sounds very well read, and she knows what her platform is about. But you know, nevertheless, when you speak, you got to speak facts. And I'm not against Black Republicans, whatever party you choose. I'm just against when you use facts or you sway them to fit what you're trying to say without looking at the whole broad picture of what the reality is.
Yeah, I will say that I was impressed in that, you know, she really knew the issues. I think that was she was probably one of the first Republican you know, politicians that I've seen on that show, or any platform that articulated their thoughts in a way, even if I don't agree with them, you know, that articulated her thoughts in a way that she really read up on them. She wasn't just spewing like, you know, these talking points. She was given like a, you know, a list of things to talk about, and you know, she really had a plan. Even if they didn't align with mine, she had a plan in terms of, you know, what she would do about jobs, the economy, you know, and all these other things. You know, the thing that she was talking about, women not being forced to have babies in jail tied to a bedpost, you know, those kinds of things. I mean, I thought that she really she was really clear in her points. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the end of the day, though, you still got to speak facts.
Right. That's right. You got to come correct. So, you know, you're not going to pull a whole group of people over behind you if you're not spitting those facts. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, I celebrate all Black people that are winning the right way, and that are trying to do their thing. But, you know, as long, man, and this is what I appreciate. She didn't sound like Candace Owens.
Oh my God!
Let's
not waste airtime on her, man.
That's what I appreciated, and I hate that I have to say her name, but you know, that's what I appreciated about it. And you know, man, you know, I just hope that she doesn't become a token, because you know how Republicans like to use Black people. They love to use Black people to say the things that they can't say. And so a person like Candace Owens, and I don't want a person like Angela Stanton to become a mouthpiece for the Republican Party, that they kind of stand in the background and say, oh, look, a Black person is saying this, a Black person is saying that. So I hope she's wise enough and cognitive enough not to be used by the party for their own agenda, because truth be told, man, that party will use you and then spit you out and leave you by the wayside and not there to check on you again.
Let me ask you a question, and this might be a difficult one, right?
Yeah.
How do you propose? Let's say both of these parties are just, you know, they're polluted. You know, there's nothing good coming out of them. We don't agree with anything. Let's say they both are that way, right?
They are.
But let's say they're the only two that we have.
Right.
How would you suggest affecting change within those parties? How do you do that from the outside looking in?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. It makes it more difficult because when you said there's only two. So I think, man, the most powerful way to, at the end of the day, the only thing that I feel like changes parties or changes people, or let's just say changes parties and governments, is money. So if the black community has whatever dollars it has within it, and it decides to hold back its money from either party, then you're going to start seeing some changes happen and things begin to go your way. Like the reason why Washington is the way it is because, or let's use the NRA. The reason why the NRA gets away with what they do is because they got politicians in their pocket. So I think the best way moving forward is, you know, attacking where they feel it the most, and that's their pockets. The Montgomery bus boycott was an attack on the city buses. Like people weren't riding buses, so they weren't putting money into the system. So I think in any group or in any party that is trying to change systems, man, you got to start responding with your money. And that's across the board. That's even with the church. Like if the folks in the pews are like, yo, we ain't giving no more. And you know, somehow they come out of under that curse that we have taught them for years, that you're gonna die if you don't give. If they just say, wait a minute, I'm not gonna die. As a matter of fact, God would want me to do this, and they stop, man, the whole system is gonna crumble. And you're gonna start seeing them making changes so that they could start getting the money back flowing.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's always monetary. It's always economical. So yeah, man, if we want to see change, you know, where the dollars flow, we gotta be able to control that. We're large consumers in a lot of different ways. So if we really want to affect change, then we need to start targeting the lobbies that, you know, that are in Washington, because there are a lot of lobbies that, you know, that have these politicians in their pocket. And if we stop buying or supporting those products, then that's how you can actually affect change. Because you could yell all you want, these politicians are not moving unless the lobby say so.
That's right.
If the lobby, you know, is what's funding their campaigns, and if they really want to like affect change, then you got to affect that lobby, whoever that lobby represents. So whether it be, you know, the manufacturers, whether it be whoever it may be.
Yeah.
I think you gotta start at the root, which is the financial aspect of it. And that's the only way you'll affect change.
Yeah, man. So, yo, man, this conversation was lit, man. So, yo, I've been fiending to do this, so I'm going to do it right now. It don't make no sense, but I'm going to just hit the... Yes, sir, man. Just to do it. I forgot to do it at the beginning, but I just wanted to hit it. But, yo,
I thought you were going to do it like somewhere weird in the middle of the conversation, so I'm bracing myself like, hold up.
Don't worry, for the next show,
Negro.
Yo, for the next show, every time you say something dope, just be prepared. You're going to hear the... But shout out to everybody that watched us on Facebook and on YouTube. Yo, I don't ever want to close the show without thanking you. Please like, subscribe, share, get the word out. That's how me and McDonald are able to do what we do. Always want to shout out Father Fresh Store. It's fatherfreshstore.com, right? Yeah, fatherfreshstore.com. We'll post it in the comments. Go there, pick up some merch. He got some ill stuff. If you're from Haiti, if you're from DR, if you're from Kenya, and you know, man, and my man will even do customized stuff for you if you hit him up. And then nevertheless, don't forget raiseyourvoice.academy, where I got some merch on there as well that you can buy to help support what we do and social justice in the community. And so, any last words from you, McDonald?
Yeah, man, I would say this, man. Like, look, this platform isn't necessarily to push one agenda per se. We want to spark conversation. You may not necessarily always agree with the views that we express on this platform, but I think the purpose of this platform is just to get conversation going. And you have to have conversation, or else nothing will change. Whether it's extreme right or left, the only way that we affect change is if we come to the table and we talk. Whether it be uncomfortable conversations about things you never thought that you'd talk about, now is the time to do it. This is, you know, the atmosphere is shifting, things are shifting, and I think that this is the perfect time to talk about things that we typically would sweep under the rug. So that's what this platform is for, to raise your voice, to get the conversation going.
Yeah, and you get the... Yo, this is two really dope dudes signing out. Remember, man, keep the conversation going and raise your voice. Deuces.